Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. A few days back, some friends asked me that what is really lacking in the leadership. Now, by leadership, we should not only mean the political leadership, leadership in every field. It can be in education, it can be in politics, it can be in business, it can be in research, it can be in social life. So, anywhere, if you are a leader or I wish to be a leader, or you want to observe how the leaders are behaving, then it's important to you to know that where is the gap between the leader and the led. And the sorry state of affairs that exists in the political and the business life today, especially, shows clearly that the leaders often do not listen and take their teams for granted. And that's the tragedy. Leaders do their fair share of talking. They deliver talks, get feedback, communicate goals, and manage crisis. But then, more often than not, they lack a critical attribute of good leadership, and that's listening, not hearing. Listening should be differentiated from hearing insofar as listening is a proactive activity. It can help you understand other people's attitudes and motivations, which is essential in building cooperative and productive relationships, as well as in discerning which relationships you had better be avoiding. And the leaders fail when they either do not listen or listen with blinkers or listen with prejudices, which hinders their comprehension. And when they don't listen properly, they just hear. Then the subtle nuances of what their teams want to tell them are lost. So, what should be done to ensure that the people listen? That the gap between the leader and the led is, if not removed, at least diminishes. I've seen in my life a number of good people, good leaders, who are great listeners. And I really mean it. I've met the presidents and the prime ministers who apparently are brash, but then when they listen to you, they listen with care. And so much so are they attentive that by their very attention they draw your innermost thoughts and use them. And that's why they can create a link with a person with whom they are talking. You feel a sense of communion, a sense of community relationship with them. And the vibrations that travel between the leader and the led, or the leader and the team, are strengthened. And by listening, they enable their teams to perform better. As I said, in my working lifespan of more than, shall I say, 65 years, working span, not of my life, I've seen people who are absolutely useless listeners. They don't even care to hear you, what you say, of listen to you. And I've seen people who are great listeners, thereby making you feel important and thereby tying your attention to them. So when these leaders speak who listen, They eliminate surrounding noise and distraction and engage fully with the person they are talking to. For everyone else, there's still hope that those leaders can listen. And this is especially important for you if you want to be a leader, whether you want to be a leader in politics or you want to be a leader in business or in education or in sports or even in your social life. Like most skills, listening is a skill that can be learned. It's a learned behavior. It can be practiced, it can be improved, and the effort should be to improve that. So, to overcome that sense of not listening, to assure your teams that you are listening to them, you are attuned to them, you have to start with some attention boosting techniques. And those attention boosting techniques will help you truly know what others need. And more important, what you can do to fulfill those needs. Because that's what the leaders are meant for. So, what are those things? There are not many. Couple of things, if you are careful about, you can be a great listener. First is be sure that you do not ask questions with hidden agenda. People often ask questions not to elicit information, not to have knowledge, but to buttress their own thoughts. They want, in fact, the others to echo what they are thinking or they wish to listen. This is rule number one. Stop listening to the sound of your own voice. Don't even imagine a dream that others would give voice to your opinions, your thoughts. And I've seen leaders who are posing these questions under false pretenses. They wish to know, but they don't know how to know. And in fact, they conceal a hidden agenda. And that hidden agenda is fixing, saving, advising, convincing, or correcting others. Their process of listening is not to get knowledge, but to get confirmation that what they are doing is proper. When they ask questions beginning with, wouldn't you agree? Or don't you think? You can be sure that they are not going to listen to you. They are listening to you the moment you say, yes, you're right. Yes, sir. I fully agree with you, sir. You can't be wrong, sir. Those sycophants and flatterers. So those people are the people who don't want to be listened to. They just want to echo what the leader wants to hear. They are his master's voice. You remember those HMV records? The dog would be sitting in front of the loudspeaker. In fact, his master's voice. But and if the leaders encourage these people who his master's voice, then they are not listening. Similarly, if the questions are ending right, oh yes, you may be right, you are right. The moment they are echoing that, then you are probably trying to get others to see your point of view, while the process of listening is understanding their point of view. So how you answer questions and how you respond, this would differentiate you from a good listener from a bad listener. If you ask questions which are well crafted, they would give room to the team to elaborate and keep them to the point. Instead of asking if someone is happy at work, a linear question is likely to get and elicit a very truncated response, a very partial response, not a complete response. Choose a conversation starting question like, how are the things going for work? Don't say, are you happy at work? No. How are the things going? Be neutral. And once the information starts rolling in, check your understanding. Are you understanding it fully? Ask clarifying questions. It, for example, somebody says something and your response can be, it sounds like you are saying blah, 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 blah. Did I get that right? Or do you think I misunderstood you? This would convey genuine interest and keep the process of conversation going at the same time, making you aware of where your time is really thinking. That is the prime rule of being a good listener. The second, be a reflective listener, not a reflexive listener. So, what do you mean by reflective? Reflective is a listener who thinks. Reflexes is just your automatic. Somebody tickles you and you laugh. That's a reflexive action, not a reflex. But somebody tells a story, you think of the story and then you laugh. That's not reflexive. That's reflective. So when you receive information which you don't want to hear, there's a tendency to react with quick, reflexive solutions. You don't want to hear something, and then you say, oh, yes, I understand what you're saying. We'll look into it. No, you don't need to have a firefighting approach because the firefighting approach overlooks the underlying causes of the problems that the leaders are trying to solve. So, leaders with their team have to solve the problem and they have got to have a well formulated strategy and get information from the team so that all the hidden corners are well lighted and everything is a result of reflection, thought, and concern. Ask yourself the following questions to reflect more deeply on what is being said. What hope, fear, or concern is this person trying to communicate? Remember, hope, fear, and concern. Identify these things in whatever statement your team makes. Then, what assumption is this person making? Is he making this statement because he has the interest of his heart? Or is he trying to further his own interest, further his own nest? Third, what reasoning is this person offering? Is it logical? Is it reasonable? Is it probable? Or is it just fanciful, weird, just to get the attention? And then before responding to that, allow yourself some wait time. Wait time for reflection, for thought. Just a few moments, a few seconds. Your mind should be so active that while the person is talking, your reflection starts with each word. And then this reflection will let you know what is the real meaning of the question or the statement. So, by shifting from a reflexive to reflective approach, you are providing others with more space to share. And it will also enable you to reach a more comprehensive and complete understanding how you can address the need of the team and even those needs which are not talked about, unspoken needs. So this is the second. The third important thing is pay attention to the body language and non-verbal clues. Do not ever forget that more is conveyed in non-verbal clues rather than verbally. And the body language would often tell you that the man is saying is right or wrong, whether even he himself is in tune with what he is saying. What we show through our body language matters more than what we say with the help of our lips and tongue. Body language, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your hands. They convey more than your tongue conveys. The non-verbal cues reveal the real feeling of the person who is talking. So, attentive listeners can collect additional insights simply by watching the body language's telltale signs. Is the person talking in a crackling or hushed voice? Or is he confident? What is his posture? Is he slumped, shifty, or upright? Can he look at you in the eye and then talk? Or is he just looking sideways, upside down, and not trying to make eye contact with you? What about his eyebrows? Is there narrowing of the eyebrows? Is his brow clear? What about his cheeks and lips? Is there a tightening of the cheeks? Are, are his lips pursed? So these are some signs. There are hundreds of others. How his shoulders are shrugging, what body gestures he's making, how his hands are moving. And the leaders paying attention to the body language pays off. It has been scientifically proved that the people volunteer less information and speak less articulately when talking to the inattentive listeners. But if you're attentive, they'll give you much more information that you want. And that is measured by the awareness of the non-verbal clues. So if you're careful that you and body language, you will understand more and there'll be better communication. You'll receive more detailed and more relevant information than you would have received. And then you don't have to ask for it, you'll get it. Don't forget, never forget, if you're not observing the body language, you're not learning. Leading is listening. Let's be very clear. If you want to be a leader, you have got to listen. If you want to increase your leadership presence, demonstrate greater empathy. Show others that they matter. Take stock of how often they are seeking and receiving information. And you, how often you are receiving and taking information. And believe me, many times you'll be surprised by what you hear and listen. It may be diametrically opposed to what you have been thinking or should have been thinking. But that makes a mark you as a leader and as a human being. Thank you.